Entrepreneurship and startups are concepts that have become increasingly recognized and valued in our modern economy. While entrepreneurship is a universal phenomenon, the context of its manifestation can vary significantly, from the garage based startups of Silicon Valley to the innovative spin offs from established corporations. Entrepreneurship flourishes in a myriad of environments. This essay delves into the definition of entrepreneurship and contrasts startups with established companies. Entrepreneurship is a broad term with various interpretations, but at its core, it represents the process of creating, launching, and running a new business venture. It often starts with a novel idea or an innovative solution to a problem, followed by the willingness to take risks and devote resources to bring that idea to life. Entrepreneurship involves the capacity to recognize opportunities, create value, and innovate, all while managing risk and uncertainty. It's important to note that entrepreneurship is not confined to business or profit oriented enterprises. Social entrepreneurs, for instance, leverage innovative approaches to address social, cultural, or environmental issues. Thus, entrepreneurs are not only business persons, but also change agents in the economy and society. The term startup typically refers to a newly formed business with a unique offering and high growth potential. Startups are usually characterized by uncertainty, innovation, scalability, and a lack of established structure or processes. Entrepreneurs who found startups need to continuously iterate and validate their business model and value proposition. Startups operate in an environment of extreme uncertainty. They typically aim to solve a problem or meet a need in a way that hasn't been done before. Therefore, they must continually learn and adapt to define their market, prove their concept, and find a sustainable and scalable business model. Established companies, on the other hand, operate in a context of executing a proven business model. They have well defined markets, products, and business practices. Their primary aim is to improve their operations, serve their existing market better, and extend their reach to new markets. They focus on execution rather than discovery and on efficiency rather than innovation. The management and operation of startups and established companies are therefore fundamentally different. Established companies employ traditional management focusing on planning and control. In contrast, startups require a more agile form of management that values experimentation, customer feedback, and iterative design. In conclusion, entrepreneurs can be found everywhere, not just in startups, but also in large corporations, in the nonprofit sector, and in government agencies. Despite the differing environments of startups and established companies, both are crucial to economic and social development. Entrepreneurship, the process of creating, launching, and running a new venture, serves as the bridge between the genesis of an idea and its execution, driving innovation, job creation, and economic growth. Entrepreneurship is often associated with bold visions, groundbreaking ideas, and fearless risk taking. While these elements are indeed part of the entrepreneurial landscape, an equally essential yet less glamorized aspect is the application of sound management principles. In startups, where uncertainty is the norm, effective management can significantly increase the likelihood of success. Let's discuss the unique aspects of startup management and the application of scientific management principles in startup settings. Startup management differs significantly from the management of established companies. The main reason for this is the inherent uncertainty associated with startups. They often operate in new markets with unproven products or business models. Therefore, the traditional management methods that work well in stable, predictable environments often fail in startup settings. Startups require a more flexible, responsive management style that can rapidly adapt to new information. One of the unique aspects of startup management is the importance of learning while doing. Entrepreneurs have to manage the business while simultaneously learning about their customers, their product, and the market. They must be quick to recognize when things are not working and make necessary adjustments or pivots, as the lean startup methodology calls them. Another unique aspect is the iterative nature of product development in startups. Startups need to quickly develop a minimum viable product, MVP, and then continually refine and expand it based on customer feedback. This customer centric approach requires a management style that encourages experimentation, customer engagement, and a high tolerance for failure and iteration. Scientific management, a concept first introduced by Frederick Winslow Taylor in the early 20th century, focuses on improving economic efficiency, particularly labor productivity, by systematically analyzing workflow processes. While the principles of scientific management have traditionally been applied in industrial and manufacturing contexts, some elements of it are highly relevant to startups. Eric Ries, the author of The Lean Startup, proposes a new form of scientific management for startups. This approach is centered around the build, measure, learn feedback loop. Startups should turn ideas into products, build, see how customers respond, measure, and then learn whether to pivot or persevere. Learn. This cycle repeats until a startup achieves product market fit. Reese's model also emphasizes the importance of innovation accounting, a way of evaluating progress in the face of extreme uncertainty. It involves setting up milestones, creating learning benchmarks, prioritizing work, and measuring progress. By doing so, entrepreneurs can understand better if their efforts are leading them closer to their goals or if they need to change direction. In conclusion, entrepreneurship is as much about managing a business as it is about having a revolutionary idea. Effective management in a startup setting involves managing uncertainty, learning while doing, and continuously iterating the product based on customer feedback. The application of scientific management principles such as the build, measure, learn feedback loop and innovation accounting can provide a more structured and analytical approach to the management of startups. Validated learning is a key concept in the lean startup methodology introduced by Eric Ries. It refers to the process of validating assumptions about a startup's business model through small, fast, and iterative experiments. The building, measuring, learning loop is at the heart of this process, creating a systematic feedback mechanism to adapt the product to the market's needs quickly. The building, measuring, learning loop is an iterative process that encourages startups to build a product or feature, often a minimum viable product or MVP, measure its performance in the market, and learn from the feedback to make informed decisions about the next steps. Build. In this first step, startups quickly build an MVP, a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback for future development. The goal here isn't to build a perfect product, but rather to develop something quickly that can test key business hypotheses. Measure. Once the MVP is launched, the next step is to measure how customers interact with it. This could involve tracking user engagement, conversion rates, customer reviews, or any other metric that provides insight into how the product is performing. Learn. After collecting and analyzing data, startups must learn from it. This could mean validating a hypothesis, confirming an assumption is correct, or invalidating it, discovering an assumption is incorrect. The knowledge gained at this stage informs whether a startup should persevere with its current strategy or pivot to a different approach. This cycle repeats continuously throughout a startup's early life, with each iteration providing more validated learning and helping the company move closer to a product that truly fits the market's needs. Validation is critical in the startup context due to the high levels of uncertainty inherent in such ventures. Startups often begin with hypotheses about their business models, target customers, and value propositions. However, these hypotheses are based on unproven assumptions that need to be tested and validated in the market. Without validation, startups risk building products based on incorrect assumptions, leading to wasted resources and potential failure. Validated learning reduces this risk by testing assumptions early and frequently. If a hypothesis is validated, the startup gains confidence that it's on the right path. If it's invalidated, the startup can pivot or make adjustments, thereby avoiding further wasted effort on a flawed strategy. Validated learning also contributes to a startup's agility and adaptability. By continuously testing hypotheses and learning from the results, startups can quickly adapt to new insights about their customers or the market. This flexibility is crucial in the rapidly evolving environments where startups typically operate. In conclusion, validated learning through the building, measuring, learning loop is a critical component of the lean startup methodology. By enabling startups to test their business hypotheses quickly and adapt based on the results, validated learning reduces risk, conserves resources, and increases the likelihood of arriving at a product that truly resonates with customers. In the world of startups, traditional financial accounting measures often fail to provide a clear picture of a venture's progress or potential. Innovation accounting, a concept introduced in Eric Ries's The Lean Startup, fills this gap. It provides a set of measures and methodologies that allow startups to gauge their progress accurately, set meaningful milestones, and make data driven decisions. Innovation accounting is a way of evaluating progress in the context of extreme uncertainty. Unlike traditional accounting that focuses primarily on financial metrics like sales and net income, innovation accounting considers metrics that reflect a startup's ability to learn and adapt to customers' needs. The innovation accounting process generally starts by turning the strategic hypotheses of a business model into a set of clear, testable assumptions. These assumptions form the foundation of an experimental approach to product development, providing the metrics that a startup needs to track and validate. Next, a startup develops a minimum viable product, MVP, to start the learning process and track these key metrics. The MVP serves as the basis for understanding initial customer reactions and gauging the validity of the underlying assumptions. Innovation accounting involves measuring progress by tracking the essential metrics that indicate learning and progress. These metrics should be actionable, accessible, and auditable. Actionable. Metrics should directly reflect the impact of specific actions taken by the startup. They should be able to influence a startup's direction or strategy. Accessible. The metrics should be easy for all team members to understand and monitor. Everyone should know how their actions influence these measures. Auditable. The data should be credible. Team members and investors should be able to verify the data if needed. For example, startups might track metrics like customer acquisition costs, lifetime value of a customer, churn rate, conversion rates, or any other metric that reflects the health and progress of their business model. Milestones in innovation accounting are not just about product development stages or financial targets, they also include learning milestones. A learning milestone is a point in time where a startup can evaluate its progress based on the validated learning it has achieved. It's a moment to reflect on the data collected, analyze the results, and decide whether to pivot, change strategy, or persevere, continue with the current strategy. In conclusion, innovation accounting allows startups to measure their progress, set up milestones, and create a framework for decision making in an uncertain environment. By focusing on metrics that demonstrate learning and adaptation rather than just financial outcomes, startups can ensure they are moving in the right direction and making genuine progress towards creating a product that fits the market. In the realm of startups, where uncertainty and rapid change are the norm, the traditional linear approach to product development often falls short. A different model is needed, one that emphasizes iterative learning and continuous improvement. Eric Ries's build, measure, learn loop, a central concept in his book The Lean Startup, offers just such a model. The build, measure, learn loop is a three-step process that promotes iterative development and validated learning. It forms the backbone of the lean startup methodology and serves as a roadmap for startups navigating the uncharted waters of a new product launch. Build. This step involves turning an idea into a product. Rather than investing substantial time and resources into building a full featured product, the lean startup methodology recommends creating a minimum viable product MVP. The MVP should contain just enough features to capture the essence of the product and allow for the testing of key business hypotheses. Measure. Once the MVP is released, the startup measures how customers interact with it. This could be user behavior, engagement levels, customer feedback, or other key performance indicators, KPIs. The key is to gather tangible data on how the product is performing in the market. Learn. The data collected in the measure phase is then analyzed to glean insights about the product and the market. This learning informs the startup's next steps. If the MVP is achieving its goals, the startup may decide to continue with its current strategy, persevere. If not, it may decide to pivot by making fundamental changes to its product or strategy. The build, measure, learn loop is a continuous process. Each iteration brings the startup closer to a product that fits the market and a sustainable business model. In a startup, turning ideas into products is not a one time task, but rather a cyclical process guided by the build, measure, learn loop. The goal is not merely to build what was initially envisioned, but to develop a product that customers truly want and are willing to pay for. This process begins with clearly defining the problem the product is intended to solve and formulating key business hypotheses. An MVP is then created to test these hypotheses. The MVP should be simple and focused, just sufficient to test the most crucial assumptions. Once the MVP is launched, customer interaction with the product becomes a rich source of information, which feeds into the measure and learn stages of the loop. Analysis of this data can validate or refute the startup's hypotheses and guide subsequent development iterations. This continuous cycle of building, measuring, and learning turns ideas into products not through isolated bursts of creativity, but through consistent, data informed iterations. It ensures that the products created align with market demands and evolve in tandem with them. In conclusion, the build, measure, learn loop serves as a compass for startups, guiding them through the unpredictable journey of product development. It emphasizes validated learning and iterative development, allowing startups to adapt quickly and increase their chances of success.